This is the time of the year when the Tata Steel Chess Tournament is back. The traditional event, the Wimbledon of chess as they call it, is into its 88th year. And this time in 2026, we have the defending champion on our screen, Praggnanandhaa on the right, who won it in 2025. And he asks Arjun if he can just take the board a little bit towards his side. What a clash we have in round number 1. Two good friends, two absolutely best players in the world of chess, Arjun Erigaisi and Praggnanandhaa, face off against each other. This will be a super important game for both of them. Prag, of course, has qualified to the candidates and will be looking to play this tournament to the best of his abilities. A handshake here. By the way, the time control at this event has changed now. Instead of having multiple time controls, it's now 2 hours for 40 moves without increment and then 30 minutes for the remaining game with 30-second increment per move. Arjun is thinking for his first move. He brings his hand towards the pawn, and this, dear friends, is the Gambit recap of the day. Arjun opens the game with pawn to d4, and look at Prag there, calmly meditating, just bringing himself into the zone, and he wants to play well today. That's for sure. He responds back with the symmetrical d5. Will we see the London system here with bishop f4? No. Arjun goes for the queen's gambit, and Prag can play literally anything. He goes for the queen's gambit accepted with pawn takes c4, and now Arjun brings his pawn up to e4, attacking the pawn on c4. e5 played. Very interesting move. If you take the pawn, I'll take on d1 and then bring out my knight, bishop, and that's a very comfortable position for black. So that's the reason why he plays knight to f3. Also notice that pushing the pawn forward is not a good idea. Black is better after knight f6. So knight f3 is the most logical move. Putting pressure on e5 pawn. You take on d4. All of this well known. Thousands of games have been played here. And now just bishop takes pawn is the most sensible move. Yes, Arjun takes it. And even though black can, even keep this pawn with c5, he has to worry about the f7 pawn. So knight e5 would be very strong, which is the reason why he goes knight to c6. And now the main move here is short castle. We have, I think, more than 2000 games that have happened here. But Arjun pauses for a bit and plays queen b3. Only 70 games have been played with this move. So clearly, Arjun is trying to out-prepare or, at least surprise Prag here. But Prag moves quickly with bishop b4 check. Just goes to show how difficult it is to surprise a player like Praggnanandhaa. Knight comes to d2, blocking the check. And still there's pressure on the f7 point. He brings his queen out to f6, defending the pawn. And Arjun says, I'll castle. Prag, remember, is a pawn up still. But one thing is for sure, black pieces are a bit weirdly positioned. And white will try to take advantage of it with something like e5. For now, Prag says, I'll bring my knight out to e7, try to finish my development here. Knight comes in, and boom, e5. Arjun now playing his moves quickly. He's in his preparation. Queen g6 seems like the only move here, although there's also queen f5. He goes queen g6. And that's the thing about Arjun Erigaisi. He does prepare openings which are equal if you play like an engine. But if you don't, these are such sharp positions, you can get in big trouble. Now knight h4, he gets up. Prag, of course, needs to be very careful here. His position is fine. He goes queen h5. He finds the best move. And now knight df3. And if you notice, what happens is the queen on h5 has the potential of being trapped with h3 and g4. No squares here. The bishop controls these. And you can't take on e5 just yet because the bishop on b4 is hanging. Which is why the best move in this position is a5. He goes bishop a5. And that is a mistake. Why a5 was better? Because after h3, you can push the queen away from g4, because after g4 at some point take, even knight g2, the knight on f3 could be hanging if the queen is not defending it. So it was very important to push the pawn to a5, which was the best move. But after bishop a5, h3 is played, and now g4 is a big threat. D3 played by Pragg, again trying to break the communication here, so that if you play g4, I can take, and if you go knight g2, you lose this piece. So it's very important for Arjun not to play g4, but he can now take the pawn. He takes it. Queen takes d3, and he's saying to Pragg, what are your ideas for g4? What do you have in mind? Well, pretty sure that the move that Pragg has in mind, which is super risky, is knight takes pawn. And he takes it. And he tells Arjun, what are you going to do next? Because I've taken a pawn, I'm attacking your queen, I'm attacking your bishop, I'm also putting pressure here. If you take, I take on a5 with e5 with my queen, which is what Arjun does. Knight takes e5, queen takes, and there's no rook e1 because the bishop and the queen both control it. Queen e5. But Arjun has one move which is the best here, and I think he's seen it. Very instantly plays knight f3, attacking the queen on e5. Fantastic chess here by Arjun. He's attacking the queen on e5. And now the queen does not have a great square to go to. Pragg goes queen d6. And the thing here to note is that if black gets to castle, black would be better. He's also pawn up, would be completely fine. But Arjun has seen that it's not so easy to castle. He goes queen b3. The second best move in the position. The best move was queen e2, because to castles you have rook d1, and after, if you go queen f6, there's bishop g5. If you go queen c5, there is bishop g5 followed by rook d5. Quite a tough variation to foresee. But queen b3, does that not allow short castles is the big question. I think rook d1 is a big problem here. Maybe there is some bishop f7, rook f7 and rook d8 business which you have to be careful about. So that's the reason why queen b3 is putting pressure. But let's say Pragg goes bishop e6, a big error. He should have played castles, bishop f7 and here, rook d1, queen b4, bishop f7 and just move the king away. And he's still fighting. But with bishop e6, now Arjun has huge advantage. And how this works is, I take the bishop on e6. I wonder if Arjun can sort of see through all of this. He has 1 hour 13 minutes when this move was made by Pragg, and he plays bishop takes e6 in just 3 minutes. He sees it. If queen takes e6, simply queen b5 check, attacking this, and if you go knight c6 trying to defend, boom, knight d4, attacking here, and you take, I take on a5. So that's the reason why fe6 makes a lot of sense. Now if you go queen b5 check, knight c6 and castles coming up, black is fine. So Arjun needs to find now rook d1. He plays it. Rook comes to d1, attacking the queen on d6. And Pragg goes queen b6. Again, knight d5 met with queen a4 check, loses the piece. So queen b6 offering a trade of queens. And one thing you don't want to do is trade, so check. And the laws of chess don't allow you to castle when under check. That's a very important rule, which is the reason why Pragg cannot get his king out from e8. And Arjun brings the queen to e4, attacking e6 pawn. And Prag would love to castle again, but it's impossible. Castles, queen takes e6, knight is hanging, rook f7, there is rook d7, and this is just better. So he goes queen b5. He's trying to attack here. Arjun takes the pawn on e6. Queen takes on e6, the most natural and logical move. And now Prag brings his queen to f5. All that Prag is hoping is for a queen trade. Take here and he can survive this endgame. But Arjun, well, he's a monster here. In such positions, it's difficult to escape the tentacles of Arjun Erigaisi. He is so good at dynamics. He's so good at calculation. It's like Prag has just completely fallen into Arjun's kinds of positions. Rook f8, trying to artificially castle here with rook f7, king f8, king g8. Now rook d3, bishop g5 and rook d1. He plays his rook up to d3. Brings his rook up. The bishop will come to g5. The other rook will join in on d1. The bishop comes back, putting pressure on the f2 point. And bishop to g5. A good move. The knight is under pressure. It's mate in one threatened. He brings his rook up to f7 to defend the knight. And Arjun plays g4. Wow. These are the kinds of moves that only Arjun Erigaisi can play. It's super, super good. The thing is, now the queen has to move away and goes queen g6. And notice how the rook actually defended the knight here. Just incredible. And now rook d1. Is he going to do that? Well, Arjun brings rook e1. That's an amazing move. The knight is hanging on e7. What to do about it? If bishop c5, there is bishop h4, just bringing the bishop out, threatening knight e5 stuff. Too dangerous. So bishop f2 taken by Prag. He's like, if you take queen f2, d3 is hanging. So king f2 taken instantly, and queen g5 taking advantage of the pin on the knight, and quickly king g2 played here by Arjun. The queen is hanging. And how is Arjun able to assess these positions so well? Queen c5 played. Even if queen f6, there was knight e5 followed by knight d7. So queen c5 played. And now knight to e5, attacking the rook. And Prag brings his rook to f4. Now knight d7. A very strong move, attacking the queen. Yes, he finds it. And the queen needs to defend the knight. If queen b4, there's a3. So queen g5 played. And queen e6 found. Threatening queen g8. The knight is pinned here, which would force a mate in 2 with rook f8, queen f8. And there's just literally no way to prevent any of this from happening. The king is almost busted. He goes long castle. He's going into the fire here. Queen can give discovered attack in multiple ways. Knight e5 is a good move. Knight f6 is a good move. This is hanging. And Arjun plays knight to f6. If king b8, d8 is hanging. If king c7, e7 is hanging. Everything is falling. Prag resigns. Arjun Erigaisi scores a huge win here. And a huge congratulations to Arjun for beating the defending champion. Clearly, Arjun played some of the best chess in this game. Just literally finding the best moves. We have like this video in 5x speed to just show you how long actually Prag and Arjun sat together and started discussing about the game. It speaks volumes about their friendship, their respect for each other, Prag's ability to take in losses, his ability to keep learning from his losses, and Arjun always really being the kind person that he is, A great start to Tata Steel Chess 2026.